All right, we're live, Sal, for another episode of A Lifetime Mafia Tells Live. And we got a really important guest coming on here in maybe about a couple minutes. He's just running a little bit behind, but he was a debt collector for the mob and other different kind of criminal organizations. So I felt like Sal and him can connect. They're from the same area, different eras, though. Didn't run into each other on the street, but Tommy did time in Rikers Island and stuff, but here he is right now. Hey, Tommy, how you doing, man? We're live.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
How you
Good
doing?
morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Well, I just decided
How
to go
you
on
doing,
here.
Sal?
Good. How are you?
Nice to meet you.
Are you still in New York?
No, I'm in fucking.
That's all right.
I'm in Lubbock, Texas.
Oh, Lubbock, Texas. West Texas. Yeah.
West Texas. It's something else out here. I've been here for the past year. Prior to this, Sal and Adrian, I think you already remember Adrian. I was in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
I was in North Carolina for 30 years after I left Brooklyn. I left Brooklyn in I left Brooklyn in 1993. The police and the FBI brought me back in 1998.
So what do you think? What do you think of Texas?
Let me tell you something, Sal. Check this out. They ain't got nothing on us, man.
No.
They don't have honestly, truthfully, I went to a few of the bars out here and I love country music. Don't get me wrong. I'm a country fan. I love country music.
Yeah.
They have better food out here than North Carolina. I give them that. It's the weather.
Right.
They have hail the size of freaking softballs over here.
Yeah.
Midwest right there, man.
Yes, I mean, it tears up. If you know a hailstorm is coming and you don't have your car inside the garage, forget about it. It's going to be destroyed.
The government dropped me off in Texas in 1985. It was June 21st, my first wife's birthday. We got off the plane. It was so hot, I thought I was in hell. Okay? Now, you know about the heat in Texas. Well,
yes.
I was there a few years. What I learned about Texas was most people don't realize this. Of course, this was, a long time ago. But Texas has got West Texas. You got Dallas, which is cosmopolitan.
6 hours away now. 6 hours away from here, from Lubbock to Dallas.
And you got Houston, which is a big city. I mean, there's 4 million people there. Then you have what they call South Texas, where I was, San Antonio. I got to tell you, the U.S. government marshal said, look, you got to be quiet. You got to blend in. My wife looked at me. She says, you blend like Cousin Vinny. I wasn't going to blend. I had an accent. But luckily for me, this was before we had internet, and my kids were great athletes, and I got to become friends with the coaches. And then I learned about the culture in Texas. And people don't know back then, it's a world of its own.
Yes, it is. It is.
And if you're a New Yorker living in Lubbock, please tell us about some of your unique experiences.
Well, I'll tell you this. Again, I've been here. My girlfriend, we finished my film. We did a documentary. Agent saw my documentary.
Oh, yeah. I liked it.
And we didn't release it yet. I got that on some different avenues. And I came down here because I was traveling back and forth with my girlfriend, and she's one of the executive producers. I'm traveling back and forth. I'm flying back here. I'm flying over there, back and forth. I'm like, I got my house with my ex-wife in Lumberton, North Carolina, and we divorced, and we made a deal with the house. So I said, you know what? Me and my girlfriend decided, I'm just going to move to Texas. And boy, when I came down here, man, it's hot as hell. And it could be 80, 90 degrees today. Tomorrow, 25 degrees.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
it's
been interesting.
Midwest. It's the Midwest, man. That's where I'm at too.
It's been interesting. And I'm a bike rider. I ride my motorcycle all the time. So out here you also get dust storms.
Oh,
right.
Freaking dust storms. But
Tommy, I was going to ask you, how much do you know about Sal? Do you know very much? I can give you just about his life. Have you heard much? Like he wrote a book too.
I only heard about Sal And I looked him up yesterday since you told me last week.
Yeah.
And I find it, Sal, I got to tell you, brother, man, you had an interesting life.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
and,
I mean,
and I have to applaud you for what you did with your life.
I mean, I walked away from crime in 19. I went undercover, 84. The feds got me through that. I had this corrupt judge, so I did the judge. And what people don't know is when you go and become a witness for the government, you sign these documents. Well, not only do you sign documents, but you get interviewed. With me, they did lie detector tests, right? And because I was going to be a witness against this judge. Well, the contract is like this thick. I do the judge. Now I'm back in Texas thinking, oh, this is great, man. I can listen to George Strait. I can hang out. And then one day they called me. They said, we got news for you. We got a Gotti case. We're going to drop an indictment on John Gotti, and you're going to be the first witness. I go, oh, no, I didn't sign on for that. The woman said, yes, you did. Look at the contract.
Well,
And then I found out once you agree, you got to appear in every criminal trial they want or need you. I couldn't believe I had to go do that because that was it. My life of crime was over. And I got to tell you, I went back there. It was the first Gotti case. I don't know if you saw this Get Gotti documentary.
I know. I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah. Well, they mentioned it in there, and I told them that I decided to quit crime in 1985. And I did. I've never been involved in a crime. I never spoke to a drug dealer. I never talked to thieves, crooks. I got away from them completely. I had to reinvent myself, but I didn't even talk about that. I haven't even written about that. But how difficult it was difficult because your life changes. And if you were involved in crime and one day you decided, I'm going to give it up, only you know what you've gone through. And so tell us now about what you did.
Wow. That's incredible. I got to tell you something. When I wrote this, Sal, right? This wasn't supposed to be a book. I wrote this because of all the crap that I was going through at a very young age. You understand something? I'm 63. Okay?
Right.
So I've been around for a while.
Right.
And we're talking about when I got myself involved in street gangs, I was very young. I was like 15 years old, and I got myself involved with the warlords in Brooklyn. And we were the only African-American family in Borough Park with the Hasidic Jewish community. Because my dad was the superintendent of the building on 53rd Street and 15th Avenue. And we lived in a basement apartment.
Wow.
Okay? So that by itself alone, being the only African-American family, and we're cleaning, we have to mop the hallways, we take out the garbage for the Jewish community, we did everything. And everybody in the neighborhood knew us because we were the superest kids.
Right.
Follow what I'm saying? And my dad was an alcoholic, and he was a very violent alcoholic. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that can understand that because, of course, it's not pleasant. So I took to the streets.
Yeah.
I took to the streets, and when you take to the streets, you think you're going to find something better because you're not getting that at home.
Right.
And I wound up, doing petty crimes as a teenager. Shoplifting, breaking into cars. And Sal, back in the day, the cars to get into those cars was freaking easy.
Right. But that was the 70s because if you were born in
late 70s,
61, the late 70s.
Yeah, the late 70s.
You could steal cars every day and never get caught.
Every day. It was like,
yeah.
Listen, again, I'm going to say this. We're talking about things right here, and we're talking about criminal activity from the past. And I want people to know I do not praise that whatsoever.
Right.
I am not proud of any of that, what I did.
I get it.
All.
I feel the same way. Yeah. Yeah.
I want to get that out right now. But again, you should understand this. One thing leads to another.
Well, you were black in the 70s.
Oh my God.
People don't even know what that was about. You didn't even go into an Italian neighborhood. You
Oh
didn't
yes,
do that.
but here's the thing, Sal. Check this out, right? My mother was a Italian and African American. She was mixed. My dad was
Okay.
black from Georgia.
Okay.
And my mother could pass. Basically, in the 70s, 60s, my mother in the 50s, my mother could pass for white because she had long, dark hair, white, whatever, right? But what happened was when I started hitting to the streets, I go hang out. My friends were Italians and Irish guys, and of course Hispanics. You know, we were all mixed up with this warlord thing on the streets.
Right.
But I started hanging out. We started hanging out at this social club. We were hanging outside. All these Italian guys in there. The name of the place was called the End Result. It was on New Utrecht Avenue and 57th Street in Brooklyn, right under the B train.
Yeah,
right
New Utrecht, yeah.
And I befriended a bunch of the Shylocks there. They took a liking to me. They see this guy, this black dude, right?
Yeah, but
and
you're not even black. See, you're light colored, so they sort of accepted you. And if you could go collect some of their debts,
exactly. And I was trust this, I was the big guy all the time. I'm 6'4" now. I'm 6'4", but when I was younger, I was always, when I hung out with my friends, Bobby, Eugene, Ricky, Joe, all these guys, I was the big guy, you know.
Right.
Because what I started doing, I saw this movie called Pumping Iron with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
And I went berserk after I seen that with Mike Katz, Lou Ferrigno. Lou Ferrigno, Dad lived in my neighborhood.
Right. He was Brooklyn. Yeah.
Yeah, he lived in Brooklyn, you know. And we used to go hang out with them on that side, by the N train, okay, on 60, I can't remember, 60-something street.
Yeah.
But I started getting big, and the bigger I got, the more work that I got.
Of course.
The more work that I got.
Because you know Italians aren't big. They're looking for big, tough guys.
Yes. And the people, let me tell you, I got cocky. I got real cocky. And I started, just not doing the right thing. And then in Manhattan, I met Jimmy, Irish Jimmy, running that club called Hellfire on 14th Street and 9th Avenue on the west side.
West side, the Westies.
Yeah. And he was running. They were Sal. They were laundering money through this club called Hellfire. And Jimmy took a liking to me. It was a BDSM club, okay, in the 80s. They had a lot of porn stars hung out there. Charlie Daniels hung out there. Ron Jeremy hung out there. Jamie Gillis. All these guys were coming down, and I was befriending them, hanging out. And then, we were doing, I was doing the wrong thing. I started, collecting protection money from other clubs that were in Brooklyn. See, we worked it from Manhattan, and I'd come back to Brooklyn because I kind of graduated out of the End Result with all of those people. And then I started collecting money from the Hispanic clubs that were in Sunset Park.
So tell us what you saw as far as criminals in the early 1980s. Tell the audience what you actually saw. The guys with the suits and the cars and the pinky rings.
Oh my gosh, I gotta tell you. Check this out, Sal. One thing that really I caught my eye, and I'm no name dropper at all. I'm just gonna say it like this, right? One thing that really, and I'm like 19 years old, 18, 19 years old, and I see these Irish and Italian guys pull up to the club in Manhattan, and they're pulling up in the limousines, right? And they're meeting with Jimmy. Jimmy always told me this. I was just curious, this Tommy, when the cars come, because it was like a bodega on the corner, not a bodega, but like a diner, like a diner. You get your eggs and bacon, whatever, and they had like the booths over there. The booths, you can sit in.
Like a luncheonette. Yeah.
Yeah. And you could actually, at that time, Agent, you could smoke in there while you're having freaking breakfast.
Yeah, see, that's nuts. I never witnessed any of that shit, man.
Yeah. So we're sitting there, and Jimmy's meeting with these guys, and these guys were dressed in these expensive suits, jewelry, and they were talking business. And Jimmy never wanted. Jimmy always tried to protect me in a way. I could sit there and listen to him, but I got to keep my mouth shut. You follow what I'm saying? I got to keep my mouth shut. And then that's when I found out that they were using the office downstairs in the club as a count room. Okay, a count room. And the number one thing that me and the guys that were working with me were supposed to do to make sure that we weren't robbed.
Right.
We were not robbed over there, because we'd go out, do our collections, do our arson. If people are not listening to what we're trying to tell them, what Jimmy liked about me is all right, and I'll say this about myself, okay? I'll say this about me. I tried to give these people, even the mom and pop meat stores that were in Brooklyn, that when we were going over there and extorting them, I tried to give them the benefit of the doubt. Okay, they don't have it today, I'll give it to tomorrow. But when I come tomorrow, you got to have it. If you don't have it, I got to do something. You know what I'm saying? So I got to tell you, generally, it wasn't no problem. But the guys that did give us a problem on the Hispanic side in Sunset Park, that's when we had to start burning down bars out there.
There you go. Yeah.
You know, so,
Most of the time, I shot locked for years, man. And I never once touched the guy. I didn't have to touch the guy. You know, I said, look, you don't have it this week. Okay, guess what? Next week. And after I, more or less got a guy against the wall, I tell him, look, you borrowed $1,000. You're paying 4 points. That's $40 a week, right? You know what? Let's forget the 40 a week. Give me 100 a week. We'll knock the loan down and get him even. And then guess what? He's going to come back 6 months from now and borrow again. That's the way it was.
I remember you mentioning that.
It's incredible. One thing that Jimmy always told me, I'll never forget this, and I'll take this with me to my grave. He told me this. A lot of people that were gambling debts, number spots, stuff like that, we collected money from as well. And one day, Jimmy just grabbed me by the shoulder, and he said to me, Tommy, I'm going to tell you something. He says, there's only one way to win at gambling. And I'm thinking he's going to tell me, wow, I got the way now. I'm going to make all this money because Jimmy's going to tell me.
Yeah.
Jimmy says there's only one way to win at gambling. It's not to gamble at all.
Right. Zero. Don't gamble.
Don't gamble.
You can't
at
lose.
all.
Can't lose.
That's true.
It's
That's
built.
true.
It's structured for you to lose.
Oh yeah.
You're never going to get all of that money that you lost.
Yeah.
No.
And now look where we are. They make it glamorous now.
Oh, yeah.
God only knows how many people are in debt because some kind of kings. What do they call it?
Oh, draft kings. Yeah, well, I mean, people can gamble everywhere, and that's coming to my town too. They're finally putting a casino here, and people, I went there like a couple, maybe almost a month ago, man. And these people just putting money, and it's like 2 a.m, packed full of people, and I'm just like,
the house never loses. They don't lose.
No. They never lose because listen, let's be real here, okay? When you're gambling, especially in Vegas, there's no clocks. They don't have any. There's no clocks.
Yeah.
I've never even known. I've never been
there. And they give you free drinks when you're gambling.
Right.
Wow.
And people
free drinks when you're gambling. Whatever drink you want.
Yeah. When I was a kid in the 50s, I found out, if you put up $1, you get $500 if you hit the number. This was before Lotto, right? And I thought it was amazing, but I never sat down to think there was 1,000 different numbers. So how could the numbers guys lose? They can't. No. I mean, if they got 1,000 bets, they collect 1,000, they give 500 to one winner. So, I mean, most of the time, even John Gotti once hit for some ridiculous amount of money, like $250,000. And people didn't realize, how do you get $250,000 in one day? You got to bet a lot of money. You get 500 to 1. So you figure out how much he bet. The guy was a degenerate gambler. So that meant that he bet $5,000 a day.
Incredible.
A day.
That'd be nuts, man. Just blowing it.
That's incredible, man. I collected from guys. Listen, guys that owed money on bets, I had to collect from them.
Right.
And this is something, again, I'm not proud of. I hunt them down. I would actually hunt them down, locate them. And my thing was, I generally like to catch them on the street.
Yeah.
Because if I go into like the house or an apartment, or I went to a lot of hotels waiting for these guys too as well. Right. I don't know what's in the car. I don't know what's in the other room. I don't know what's there, whatever.
Right.
So I kind of like lay low, and I'm out on the street, and I say, "Oh shit, there he goes." Yeah. And then I'll come up from behind him, and of course, I'll grab him depending who I'm with at the time. I used to work with this guy named Richie, Big Bird. We call him Big Bird because Richie was a big son of a bitch. Richie was I I don't know, at that time he's about at least 6'5", and he had this really messed up curly hair, and we didn't know what to call him. We just called him Bird, and then I started calling him Big Bird. But he was muscle. This guy was muscle, and now when I caught the individual on the street, right? This is what you're gonna hear. Hey man, I'm sorry, man. Listen, I'm gonna have it for you later. Whatever. And what I do is I notice that he's going to his car, his vehicle. I would say, screw that. Give me the keys to your car. What do you got on you? Give me. And I'm shaking him down. I'm taking his wallet off. Give me those chains on your neck, whatever, those rings, whatever you got on you. You know what I'm saying? And lots of times, I'm not gonna kid you on this. Guys that were connected, I had done that to as well. And they were getting contact with the police because the police actually knew them and they were bad cops. And the cops would come to locate me and find me and threaten me for what I had did to this individual and threaten my life. But that was just part of it. Listen, the bottom line to that, I look at it now, I hated what I did. But all the people that I was doing this to were criminals. Okay. Right. I'm not gonna rob some old lady's bag that's walking to the grocery store. Right. I'm gonna be a guy that's gonna grab you and kick your ass for robbing that lady at the grocery store.
See, okay? So you live by the line. You had a line in your life.
Absolutely.
Back then they had a line. You're not gonna go grab a pocketbook from I don't never mess with civilians. But sometimes when I go into the clubs, I'm shaking people down. The club owners that like have a few guys with them and try to like scare me and my guys, whatever the case may be. But here's the thing, it's not going to work for you because you have to be, and Sal knows this, when you're going into these places and you're committing these felonies, you have to realize what's going to happen to you in that life. You have to accept it. You have to accept it. Prison, death, that's part of that. You have to accept that. So what I did, I made sure that when I go in there, I didn't want to be killed. So I made sure, of course, I was carrying a firearm, a gun. I made sure that I was covered. But that didn't always happen because I was shot. There was a time that I was shot.
Walk us through that when you got shot.
Well, this happened. This is crazy, right? This guy named Chicky, I think me and you spoke about this.
Yeah, I remember.
He was running drugs out of a candy store, no less, on Avenue C in Brooklyn, a candy store. I never liked him because, listen, I never got involved with drugs. Did I use drugs? Yes. Was I part of selling drugs? No, I never sold drugs to anyone. I didn't like that. Okay, of course it was the 80s. And I went to Studio 54 and I did cocaine. Yes, I did all of that, right? But this guy, this monster, was selling drugs out of the store to young teenagers, and that was one of the stores that we were collecting from. And one day when I went there, I was kind of tipsy. I was, I had a few drinks, and I was feeling I don't like this guy. I want him to get me pissed off. I want him to do something to me, so that I could, really hurt him, And the day that I went there, we got into an argument. I just started yelling at him and telling him, and I pulled my gun out, and I didn't. Here's the thing, right? If you're gonna pull a gun out, you're gonna have to shoot somebody. And I broke one of my own rules. I pulled the gun out just to try to scare him, which was wrong. That was wrong because it backfired on me. No pun intended, but it backfired on me. And as I kicked his ass, I threw him a beating, right? And I hit him, with the gun. I pistol whipped him in the freaking store. And he had two other guys that were outside. And I was with a guy named, I'm just going to say his name is Neil. I was with this guy named Neil. And as we're leaving, Chicky, even though I threw him a beating, he ran behind the counter, grabbed the gun, and started firing at me through the window. Because it was a glass window, and I was like trying to duck. Now, this is going to sound crazy, but Chicky had one eye. He had a glass eye from a beating that he got in jail, whatever the hell. And I was like, thanking God he had one eye because he only shot me once. And when I ran out, I kept running even when I was shot. But unfortunately, Chicky's friends jumped Neil in front of the store and stabbed him twice, stabbed him in the back and stabbed him in the gut. And Neil was in, to this day, Neil is still in bad shape from the knife wounds into his nerves, into his stomach, and into his back, you know. And that was something I didn't handle, thinking that I'm king shit, I guess, whatever.
Yeah,
this guy, here's the bottom line, okay? I was a criminal. He's a criminal, and I'm pissed off at him because he's selling drugs to teenagers.
Right.
The logic, yeah, it's just the mindset.
Where's the logic at it? Where's the logic at it and all of that? But Chicky wound up dead 3 weeks later. They found him in a garbage container.
Nobody knew how he got killed?
Oh, he was cut up. He was cut up. It was dismembered, and they found him in the sanitation garbage containers.
Wow.
On Cotelliu Road. I think it was East 14th Street and Cotelliu Road.
Cotelliu Road, yeah. Wow.
Yeah. But the bottom line to this, Sal and Adrian, listen, I made such a turnaround with all of this in my life. Now, again, I'm backstepping, guys. When I wrote this, it was a manuscript to try to myself to figure out what the are you doing?
Right.
What are you doing?
Right.
You know? I'm in jail. I'm playing chess with the Zodiac Killer, Herberto Seda, and C-74 on Rikers Island.
Wow.
You know, I'm like, in 1992, that was in 1992. I'm like, what am I doing? I can't go on with this. So I started writing about my life, and that's where that book came from. Now, keep in mind, Sal, check it out. When I finished writing my manuscript, it sat for 15 years. I didn't print it.
Really?
That's how long you had it?
Yeah, I didn't publish it. It was for me, for my own state of mind, until I decided to publish it 2 years ago.
Wow. Well, I'll say this too, for the people that are live and in the chat, ask some questions here for Tommy or Sal, and we'll get to you here in a couple of minutes after we talk a little bit more. But that is pretty cool, Tommy, that you were able to get that book out there. And I mean, it wasn't ever meant to be, but what was the push? What drove you to actually put it out there?
A guy named Lorenzo Munez. He lives in Miami, and he's actually a childhood friend of mine. He's a childhood friend of mine, Hispanic guy, and he's kind of a big shot in Miami. He runs all the large venues of shows like Jennifer Lopez, Mark Anthony, all kinds of in Miami. And he invited me to a show a few years ago. He said, Tommy, why don't you come on down? I haven't seen you in a long time. Come on, I'll give you the VIP treatment. I'm like, yeah, I'll get the VIP treatment. Let me go, you know. So I go down to a show, and we're hanging out in his office, and we're having a drink, and he's having his cigars. I don't smoke cigars. And he said, we just started talking about our childhood. And then I told me, you know what? He knew about my life. He knew what I was doing. And I said, yeah, I wrote a manuscript about myself. And he says, really? I said, yes. He said, anybody read it? I said, no. He says, would you let me read it? And that was the first time I thought about letting someone read it, because it was just for me. And I said, sure, not a problem. I'll send it to you. I sent it to him in a disc. When I got back to North Carolina, Sal, I sent it to him. He calls me like a month later, and he says, Tommy, are you kidding me or what? We got to print this. This got to be printed, man. He says, and I said, seriously? He says, listen, Tommy, listen, I'll have it published for you, and I'll pay the cost, but you got to do something for me. And I said, what? I want you to pay it forward. And I had nothing to do with these pictures of myself, the symbol, or the name of the book. I had nothing to do with that. They sent it to me like this and said, do I approve it? Now, this picture of me, of course, is when I was a bounty hunter. This picture is me when I was 16 years old and hitting the streets. And he took this picture of me when I went to his concert in Miami. And this picture he took of me when I was a kid. And he just used them, and he said, can we use hardening? It's a tough guy kind of story.
Yeah.
But it's actually a 180 because I flipped my life around. And it's been going fine. I mean, I've been helping a lot of kids, a lot of kids, man. You know, paying it forward, man. That's
what did you do when you left New York to make a living?
Holy crap. Hey, Sal, check it out, right? That's a good question.
Yeah.
When I left New York and I ended up in Fayetteville, North Carolina, there was nothing my whole life has been, you know, a hustler,
Right.
an enforcer, the guy with the bat. You know, that's been my whole life. So that I cannot do a 9 to 5. That's not
Right.
me. I couldn't do that. So what I did was I started working at this club called the Dollhouse in Fayetteville on Bragg Boulevard, and I became the head of security there. And it was such, I got to tell you, even though I dealt with a few drunks at that place, and, you know, I was the cooler. I wasn't the bouncer. I was the cooler. I was the guy that, you know, cooled everything down. You know what I'm saying? I had the bouncers throw the people out. I was just the guy that talked to everybody and say, hey, listen, come on, drinks on me, whatever, you know, blah, blah, or whatever the case may be. Because I didn't want to participate and physically grab. Don't get me wrong. Some guy's trying to hurt me. I'm going to take care of myself. But I didn't want no part of that anymore. And they offered me so much money to do that. I just stayed there for a few years, Sal, until I met some guy named Troy Thompson. Troy Thompson was a bail bondsman in Cumberland County, North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
And he took a liking to me. We played pool together at the club, and we talk, hang out, have a few drinks. And then he said to me, Tommy, would you like to, I see how you handle yourself here. He says, how much are you making here? And I told him, I'm making pretty good money here. He says, listen, whatever they're paying you, you know, I could double it, probably even triple it if you work some cases with me. And I know about bail bonding. I've been bonded out of jail so many damn times, ridiculous. But he said, listen, why don't you come to my office? Let's talk about it. So it didn't happen overnight, Sal. It took a while, you know, because, you know, first of all, I couldn't get a bail bonding license because I'm a convicted felon. So I kind of worked illegal.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of worked illegal. I went with him on a pickup, and I got to tell you, it was incredible. I'll never forget. You never forget two things: your first pickup and your last one. All the shit in the middle, I don't even remember. But we made my first pickup in Cumberland County in Fayetteville, and I said, man, this is great. And when I got paid, I was like, oh my gosh, that's more than I make in a week. Because the guy he jumped the bond. The bond was $75,000. Right. And we made $7,500, and he split it with me. So, you know, I made $3,500. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I said, you got more?
That was like the movie with De Niro.
Yeah. I said, you got more? He says, yeah, I got hundreds, man.
Yeah.
So what I did was, to prepare for this, I took a course. I went to New Jersey, Sal, because they had at that time, you know, the internet was just coming alive. Smartphones wasn't even there. We're going back a few years now. So I went to New Jersey, and I took a class on tracing and locating people, how to find people, right, stuff like that. And it's a bounty hunting course. Actually, they call it Fugitive Recovery. Right. Fugitive Recovery course. And I took that, and I was there for 3 days. And when I came back, I was like, forget about it. It was unbelievable. I had so many cases. I had to hire my own team. I was making so much money. I hired some other guys, and I started training them. Right. Because I couldn't run for crap because I was 270 pounds. I weigh 275 now, but I was 270 back then, and I'm 6'4". Who am I going to catch? Right. So I hired a smaller guy, and he was the runner. We had a short guy. This dude was fast. I'm the front door guy, and I had another guy that was the back door guy. His name was Mauricio, and I had him because he speaks Spanish, because a lot of my cases were Hispanic. Right. So we needed somebody that spoke the language. So I hired him, and I hired Jason, I hired Mauricio, and Brian, and Crystal, and a girl. Because, you know, I used a girl. Check this shit out, right? I hired a girl. At that time, they had this thing called MySpace, right? Right. And a lot of the criminals that I was looking for were on MySpace. Yeah. Really? Damn, so we set up a fake profile, put this girl's picture. She was hot. Her name was Crystal, and she's actually a bail bondsman, right? And we let her connect with the defendants online to meet, like they're gonna get old, you know, they're gonna have a good time. Yeah. They would meet. They would come meet her, and then I would come out and grab them.
How many years you do that?
15 years.
Wow.
I did that for 15 years. I sure did. 15 years I did that, and I loved it. The bad side of that, listen, there's always two sides to everything. The good side about that is that I caught a lot of predators. sexual predators that were hurting children.
Right.
Now, I got to tell you this. If this was back in the 80s, I would have probably took the guy for a walk in the woods with a shovel. Okay. But the reality is I can't stand predators and hurting children.
Right.
I don't like that. Old people and children, leave them be. Okay. Leave them be. But if you do something to a child and to a senior citizen,
I feel the same way. You're right.
You're gonna have to deal with me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But the good part about that is that we arrested so many abusers, traffickers that were trafficking people. This country puts bonds on people that are arrested for human trafficking. These guys get out on $500,000 bond, $1 million bond, and I'm chasing bonds. I was chasing bonds like that all over the country.
Wow.
All over the country. And then I would go, we went to Atlanta a lot. There's a lot of human trafficking in Atlanta. And we'd go to Atlanta and we'd be there like 3 o'clock in the morning looking for this defendant because he jumped on $875,000 bond, right? And we bust into the house and there's kids there. There's kids there, children. And we're throwing these guys down and putting them in cuffs. And I go with a team. I go with like 5 guys, and then we have to call the sheriff's department to get over there. Then they have to get all kinds of stuff. We found kids that were kidnapped, my team. So that made me feel really good about what I was doing.
Yeah.
And my redemption, I got to tell you, it's doing a 180. Let me tell you, as long as you have life, Sal and Adrian, as long as you have life,
right,
you can change.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we got to tell people that. That's why we do this show.
But I gotta say this: people that do that to children, I don't have any remorse for whatever.
I don't have anything for them.
Nothing for them whatsoever.
Yeah, you got guys like Epstein. They should have hung that guy a long time ago.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you. But I changed my life around, and nothing makes me. Let me tell you something. All the stuff that I did in my past, I believe in, of course, God Almighty. What I mean? I'm Christian, and whoever, if you have your higher power, we're not doing this alone.
Right.
None of this is being done alone.
Right.
I don't care who you are. No. I don't care if you're an atheist. You're not doing it alone.
Yeah.
Okay. Because this guy up there, he saved me so many times. And
because he knew your heart. He knew your heart, and you can't change your heart.
This was our role. You
can act like a tough guy. One day you wake up, you get to be 60 or 70, you go, that's not what I want to do, and that's not what I should have did.
Absolutely.
So you have a lot of time to redeem yourself. You don't have to do it publicly. You could do it quietly, And
Either way you want.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're going to have detractors. You're going to say, I don't believe this.
Yeah, that's with everything.
We don't pay attention to them. We do these stories. There's always a bottom line to the story, Tommy. And what you're doing today, you're benefiting someone out there.
Yes.
Big time.
Yes. Hey Sal, that makes one story stand out. I think I told you about this, Adrian. Hey Sal, I was talking at this church, this Presbyterian church in Fayetteville, and there was a bunch of small kids there. I'm talking about 10, 11, 8, like that. Then you had older teenagers, 17, 18, new guys there that were 20 that had no families. And I go there every Wednesday to talk with them and to buy them pizza and just play some basketball with them, do whatever, and I gave a speech to them. I don't want these kids ending up in jail or in a cemetery. And I was talking about something that happened to me in my book when I meant to make a collection, right? And it was at this bar in Sunset Park. And I was doing my bad things. I was snorting coke, drinking, and I was acting like I ran the place, drinking. I was messing with their women, whatever. And they got tired of that crap. They got tired of it. So they set me up because I was a bag man too. I collected the money from them. And I went to the bathroom. When I went to the bathroom, the guys got me at gunpoint in the bathroom and told me to come out the back, go out the back way. And those doors, they said, hey, you guys know, you could get yourself out into the alley, but you can't get back in the emergency door, right? So they brought me out there, and they took the money from me, and I started fighting. I started fighting with them, right? And one guy stabbed me, and I had open heart surgery from the stab when I was stabbed in the left ventricle.
Wow.
I woke up like freaking, I don't know, maybe almost 3 weeks later, and had every plug. I had plugs in my nose, plugs all. I was like freaking Frankenstein, right? And it took me a while to. Oh, wait a minute! I missed one important point. When I was stabbed, I kept walking. They got what they wanted from me, and I kept walking. And for some crazy reason, guys, I walked into the street. They had somebody in a car. The guy saw me walking, and he hit me with the car.
Oh, damn!
The guy ran me over. So yeah, that was bad. I think that was worse because my collarbone was busted, my arm, my ribs, my leg. I was a freaking mess. And my point in saying this, I was telling these kids that story. You know what could happen to you. You know when you're out there doing these bad things. Right. After I told them that story, I was noticing this little girl that kept looking at me. This cute little girl. She must have been about 13, 14 years old. She looked like she was shy. She wanted to ask me something. So I went over to her and I said, hey, honey, what's your name? Whatever. And she says to me, Mr. Tommy, can I ask you a question? And I said, honey, you can ask me anything you want. And she asked me, she says, did it hurt you when you was hit by the car? And I had to think for a second. I had to think. So I said, you know what? Why are you asking me that? She goes, because last year, my brother was killed by a car, and I wanted to know if he was in a lot of pain. So right then I said to her, you know what? I didn't feel anything. Brother didn't feel anything. Okay, and she gave me a hug. That moment, that thing made all of it worth it. Something like that to help that little girl. You follow me? Something like that. That gives me pleasure.
Right.
You know, because she's a baby, and she was worried. You know, her brother was killed. Right. And she was thinking, you know, yeah, if he was in pain. You know, so I took it upon myself. And to be honest with you, I wasn't in no pain either because I was knocked out. But but I wanted to make her feel like he, you know, didn't feel anything going like that. Little things like that is what gives me joy in what I'm doing now. And I can't thank God enough for giving me this opportunity to spread the word, to try to help anybody. If I could just, I always say this to my girlfriend, if I could save one kid, just one kid, it makes it all worth it, man.
I hope our listeners are listening. Maybe we'll get some calls because that's a tribute to you. And, you know, you should accept the tribute and say, nobody changes overnight. It takes a while.
Nothing.
Wow.
Nothing is, no.
Well, we can take some of these questions here. Let's see.
Pasquale, there you go.
What did he say? He said, I'm
a guy from Brooklyn. Yeah, we had him on.
He said, good morning, Sal and Adrian and Hercules. He called Tommy, I guess maybe because
Yeah, well, you're a great story, really.
Yeah, that's true. Then he said, happy St. Patrick's Day. Yeah, that's true. It is St. Patrick's Day. Damn, he said,
I know. We're going to have some corned beef and cabbage today, my wife.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
He said, does anyone know that St. Patty was Italian?
I didn't know that.
I didn't know about that either. Pete says, morning, guys. Perfect timing. Just got the morning chores done. Well, thanks, man. We appreciate you tuning in.
Spent the week playing in Lubbock, he said.
Oh, you know that.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. That's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Lubbock, yeah.
Morsi Boy says, good morning, friends. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
We got a lot of regulars, Tommy.
Queens, New York.
Yeah.
Good morning, Queens.
Let's see. Good morning. Oh, from Canada here.
Canada, yeah.
Yeah.
What's up, Canada?
Let's see. They said, hello, panel and chat. I've never caught a live, but I've been watching your videos for a couple months. Well, thank you, man. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. And
yes, we do.
Yeah. Thanks for chatting in for the first time. Let's see. We got one question for Tommy here. It says, Tommy, how did you like the Texas blues scene down there?
The Texas Blues scene. What is that?
I don't know, Sal. You know what that is?
I don't even know what that is.
Texas blues. I mean, maybe he's talking about the music.
Oh, the blues, the music.
Yeah, maybe that, or maybe it's kind of gloomy down there sometimes.
Yeah, I love me some blues music. I never been to a blues club out here. Check this out. It was my birthday, March the 1st. I just turned 63, March the 1st, and my girlfriend took me to Dallas, and we went to this comedy club, and my girlfriend wanted me to sit right up in the front. I said, "Oh, she set me up for something. She set me up for something here." And all these actors came out on stage, and there's a pilot that was written about my life. It's called Mob, a pilot. We have the pilot, and we're working on trying to get into production. And she let these people know about my pilot, right? And they acted out part of my pilot on stage.
Wow.
Yeah, comedy clubs are great. I put a guy named Joey Diaz in my movie Sinatra Club. And a couple of years later, he called me. He says, "You're in LA?" I go, "Yeah." He says, "Come to Pasadena. I'm doing the comedy club. I forget, the Ice House or something." And he's come there. We'll do it together. And we went on stage together. That guy is very funny and very quick. If you ever listen to him, he's a cool guy. Joey Diaz.
That's awesome. That's awesome. They did like a 10-minute parody of my life. It was darn good. It was great. I took pictures with them. They were really nice to me, and had a wonderful time. It was great.
Here's Joey Bubbles. He's your age. I met him when he was 13.
Good morning, Joey.
Morning, Bubbles. Let's see. Top Feed Coco says, "Good morning, guys."
Good morning, Coco.
Good morning.
Forza said, "I made the live stream. Good morning, fellas. Looking good, Ubats."
Yeah, good. Good morning.
Wyatt says, "Hello, everyone." Hey,
what's up, Wyatt? How you doing, Wyatt?
Sal, this one's for you. Morsi Boy said, "Sal, my wife and I are loving the playing cards. I'll send a photo on Instagram today from our little showcase."
Well, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. A question for Tommy. He said, "What family were you with, Tommy? Like you were connected with different kinds of organized crimes and different."
Listen. I don't. This is what I don't do. I don't say these people, these names. That I work for bad people, and to me, anyone that's in an organization. See, I don't use this old term that the Italians, my lovely Italian people. I love Italian people. Let me tell you first of all, because I grew up around them. I love pasta. Forget about it. I just love it. And I grew up in that atmosphere, okay? But I hung up, the people that I worked for were very bad people in this organization. And names don't mean anything to me because my thing right now is to help. This is what I'm doing now. What's important to me is helping teenagers and I go to jails out here and I talk to young people that are incarcerated. You follow what I'm saying? Name dropping and stuff, I just don't do that. You know what I mean? It's just not my thing. It doesn't matter who I work for. The people that I work for took advantage of me because I was a young boy at the time. But I do appreciate the question, but I'm not going to answer that.
Well, here's another follow-up right here. Morsi Boy said, "That story teared me up. Beautiful story." So something you were talking about a little bit earlier.
Thank you.
Lee here says, "It's all about the kids."
Absolutely.
Yep.
My time is, come on, let's be real here. Come on, I'm 63. I had my time. Right now, I got my grandkids, of course, my children. It's not about me anymore, but it's about it's about what we could do to try to help someone else, not go in the same steps that we did.
One show would save one kid. That's a great idea.
Yep. Love that idea.
Let's see. Lee, he had a follow-up. He said, "Love the chip, Martinez and Sal. I have downstairs at the bar that poker chip."
Oh, yeah, I sold him a poker chip, yeah.
Well, thanks, Lee. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Really?
Oh, looky here. We got a $20 super chat from Jacqueline.
Thank you, Jacqueline. How are you?
She says, "Good morning, guys. Coming from Harlem, New York, Sal. Have you watched
Gravesend? Yeah, no, I didn't see it yet.
I didn't see it. I know all about it. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
What's it supposed to be?
It's a new series.
Like about crime and
Gravesend.
stuff?
Gravesend, it's in Brooklyn.
Oh, what is it about like some kind of organized crime person
Must
or
be
something?
about
I
crime.
actually
What
lived.
else?
Hey, check this out, Sal. I actually lived on Gravesend Neck Road in Brooklyn, by Avenue U,
Oh, Avenue U,
in the
yeah.
'80s. In the '80s, right under the F train.
Wow, wow.
So
And
you would
right
always
next
hear
to
that.
it was this car guy named Tommy Bug. And Tommy Bug was the greatest guy in the world. I love this guy. He was an Italian guy. This guy was awesome.
Yeah,
That's when I started learning about cars, hanging out with him in his shop on Gravesend Neck Road.
yeah.
Wow,
Well,
times. That's a long time ago.
Thanks, Jacqueline. Thanks for the little help. We always can use some help.
let's see. Horsey Boy said, "Have a great Sunday, friends. We're putting the chili on the stove now."
Chili today, yeah. We
It's
got
Patty's
corned
Day.
beef and cabbage and chili.
Yeah,
That's making me hungry there, Sal.
Yeah.
I know it's getting close to lunchtime here, man. Let's see. Let me play our little ad real quick, and then we'll come back and kind of wrap up on things.
Okay,
Here, I'm gonna
good.
play this real quick.
Support our podcast, we got a few items that you can purchase. All of these items can be found in the video description below. The first one is Sal's book, The Sinatra Club. You can get this personally autographed by Sal. The next one in our hottest seller is the 1972 Sinatra Club playing cards. Back in Sal's Mafia days, he opened up his own social club named the Sinatra Club. Many mobsters would come to this club, even when there were all-out wars going on between different families. They would come to the Sinatra Club and play cards. Some of the mobsters that played with these cards were John Gotti, Dominic Cataldo, Tommy DeSimone, Foxy, Jimmy Burke, Willie Boy Johnson, Tony Roach, Henry Hill, Joe DeFede, Danny Fatico, Gene Gotti, Peter Gotti, Joey Scopo, and many more. We're selling each one of these cards for $10 a piece. These cards are limited, we only got 1,000 of them. The next item is an autographed picture of Sal from his Mafia days. Another item is the Dinner with the Mobster card. You can get this autographed as well. This was an event that Sal had hosted in the past. We also got the Ubots production ticket from an event that Sal had hosted. This is also autographed. The last item we got to offer is Sal's book, The Sins of the Father. Again, you can find all these items in the video description below.
There we go.
Well, that's cool. Yeah.
So I
Well,
gotta
if you
tell
ever
you,
get to Vegas, contact
you're in
us.
Vegas.
Well, I'm near Vegas.
You're near Vegas.
Yeah, a couple hours away.
What are you doing now?
Well, I'm going to be 79. So,
You don't look no damn 79.
yeah, well, I got to tell you, I'm a trader. And I tell Adrian, because he's only 24, I traded. What I did was I handled every piece of stolen merchandise in the 60s and the 70s you can imagine. Then one day when I got to Texas, which is 39 years ago, I was in 39 years. Now I've been out 39 years, okay? I bought and sold every collectible you can imagine. I got an eBay account the day it opened. I've had 3 eBay accounts, and I keep trading. And I taught my wife here how to trade. We buy, sell, trade. I've always made a living legitimately. I taught my wife, we go to a garage sale. She said, what about this little lunchbox? I go, how much can you get it for? She said, $1. I scratched my head. That means buy it. 2 days later, she got $121. So
Wow.
we're really experts on collectibles, And now I'm trying to teach Adrian, because he's very young, about some future collectibles, because
Right.
I started with my wife 7-8 years ago, and I show her what I paid $40 for. And today, $200. So, yeah, I'm teaching. I like to teach people. It's a fun thing.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I that's wonderful, Sal. And I got to tell you, it's been a pleasure meeting and talking to you. You have an Instagram account?
I don't know. I mean,
we do, but I help
Adrian
him run
runs it all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Adrian handles all of that.
Yeah, my wife handles the money. Adrian handles the production, the editing. I just do the speaking. I'm going to do a Vegas show June 1st. I'm going to do a couple of interviews with the Mob Museum.
You doing a Vegas show?
Yeah, there's a Vegas thing I'm doing June 1st.
Like, what are you doing? I mean, what are you doing?
It's called
now?
the Mob Summit. So there'll be a half a dozen writers there, maybe some former criminals, and I'll be the guest speaker. It's at a restaurant, in DeMarco's restaurant. I'll do that. Then I'm going to do a new podcast with the Mob Museum. They're going to film it. So I'm busy doing stuff like I did, the Netflix documentary. I got a new documentary I'm in for A&E. They find me, because I'm the only old guy left,
Yeah.
Well, hey, Sal, if you can ever use me for anything,
Okay.
you keep me in mind.
Yeah.
Because we're both on the same path.
Yeah.
Of that, and I admire that about you.
Yeah, you should definitely appear. It would be great. You and I could do a dog and pony show in a minute.
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
If you got something in Lubbock, we'd make our way out there, or Dallas. Anytime you want to produce something, I know I might have a little more publicity because, I was involved with the Goodfella guys. So anytime you want to produce something, let me know. Most of the time, I'm not going to be expensive. We just need to get there, have a place to stay. And yeah, you and I could do a show in a moment because it's black and white. That's what they want to hear. How did you
I
manage?
know. I know.
So you figure it out. You're younger than me. My friend Joey Bubbles is your age. He handles all my stuff. I know him since he's 13.
That's a long time.
Yeah. I knew him, his father. People don't know I had a line. Joey Bubbles was 13 years old. He seen me with pockets full of money, 11 Corvettes. He never heard me talk about crime. Never.
That's a good thing.
We had a line. You didn't corrupt young kids. We didn't do that.
No.
So the line, you have a line. That's what it is.
Tommy, here's a final question we can, this person here, Travis, has for you. Good morning, fellas. Did you get a better rush mob enforcing or being a bounty hunter?
There you go.
Well, it's two different things. When you're doing criminal activity, I didn't really get a rush from doing criminal activity. I got paid to do that. And it was illegal, all that stuff. When you're doing something right and righteous, handling criminals that are wanted from different states, I got a rush and a good feeling about that because that person is not going to rape some child no more, or that person is not going to be beating up his girlfriend anymore. It's two different things, but I enjoyed, trust me, and I got a rush out of when I got an individual that fled the state and I got him in handcuffs and I'm dragging his ass back to the state where he committed his crime. So,
yeah, you got to explain that to people. They think you got a rush for everything. So, yeah.
Well, let me show the people something really quick before we get off here.
Okay, go ahead. So this question here's for you. What book? You have both of the books, or do you have the?
I just have Sinatra Club. I don't have many left.
Club.
Not
they
many
want
left.
you to.
Yeah.
They want to get an autograph one. So
we
just
can
click that
autograph
link.
that.
This was my bounty hunting ID.
Look at this.
And that was the handcuffs. Now check this out. I never lost those handcuffs over 15 years. The same handcuffs that I used for every individual for 15 years. And that was my badge.
Were they Smith and Wessons?
Yep.
Well, you ought to call that company and get a sponsorship.
Yeah, I'm kind of proud of that.
Yeah, you should call them and let them know.
Oh no, that's awesome. I remember you showing me that too.
That be passed down through my generations. That I finally listened to end this right. I want to thank God for everything that He's done for me.
Yeah.
Keeping me alive through all the stuff that I did, and I want to also thank you guys for letting me come on the show today, and I'm going to keep on keeping on.
Good,
because it doesn't stop. There's more Tommies out there. There's more Sals out there.
Yeah,
we got to get them on the right road.
Right.
Not let them end up in jail or in a cemetery.
Yeah.
So it's
all about education. We got all these teenagers who want guns. They
want to be gangsters.
Cool.
No. Yeah. And I want to thank everybody for listening to our stories today. And God bless everyone out there. And life is good. Life is good, man.
Well, we'll talk
this side.
We'll talk again, Tommy. We'll talk. Yeah.
We'll definitely talk, and we'll see if we can do something together.
You got some ideas? Contact Adrian. We'll connect.
Definitely, without a doubt, Sal. It's a
All
pleasure
right.
meeting you.
All right, good.